So I just finished watching the first two episodes of Vince Gilligan's new show, Pluribus, and I have to say, I'm enjoying it. I don't know what it is, but there's this familiarity to it that makes you think of Breaking Bad. I don't know, maybe it's the direction or the fact that it's set in Albuquerque, or maybe it's because it has Ray Seahorn in it. But whatever it is, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Now, let's talk about the $80 million question. What is this show even about? Because I'll be honest, ever since seeing the marketing for this show, I was completely lost, and the synopsis did not do it any favors either. But after I sat down and watched the first episode, everything just made sense. Now, I'm going to get into some spoiler territory, so you have been warned, and if you haven't watched the show, I highly recommend it. So the show begins with a 14-month countdown, and we see two astronomers who have found some kind of frequency, and they spend the majority of the countdown deciphering it, and it turns out to be a message from outer space. And like all scientists, they try to replicate this frequency by using rats. And what seemed like a failed experiment, some different scientists, and trust me, the names of people are not that important yet. So while these scientists are about to gas some rats and declare another failed experiment, they notice that one of them looks to be dead, and I mean, look at it, stiff as a board. But when taking the rat out of its cage and checking its pulse, to nobody's surprise, the rat bites the scientist. And we learn really quick that the experiment of replicating the space message actually worked. And within a matter of hours, the entire facility is under some kind of hive mind where everyone has a shared consciousness. And we see that it spreads by either kissing or some kind of saliva contact, which makes the first trailer make a lot more sense and reason 2,765 why I just don't eat anything. So as all the smart people of the world are being taken over, we get introduced to our main character, Carol, a fantasy book author that hates the books that she writes, and she's played by Ray Seahorn. And yeah, at first I would have thought I could only see her as Kim Wexler, but maybe after 10 minutes, we see that's not the case. Mainly because Carol has some kind of deep-seated anger issues, but we'll get to that later. So when we pick up with Carol, she's at the end of her book tour and she's celebrating with her girlfriend slash manager at a bar. And when going outside for a cigarette break, things get weird. First by a car accident happening right in front of them, then her girlfriend just randomly faints. And when going back inside the bar to call an ambulance, everyone inside looks like they're having a seizure. But with her girlfriend being the main priority, Carol gets into a car and drives her to a hospital. But on her way there, she's literally watching the world burn, from flipped over police cars, buses on fire, and people lying dead in the middle of the street. And she wouldn't have any clue as to what's even happening. And things don't really get better once she gets to the hospital, because the moment she walks inside, everyone from the doctors to the patients are just like the people in the bar, just standing unresponsive and looking like they're having seizures. And with Carol not sure what to do, she goes to her girlfriend to try to talk to her. And right when it looked like she was returning to normal, she would just die right in Carol's arms. And while she's crying at the death of her girlfriend, everyone in the hospital walks out at the same time. And desperate for some kind of answers, Carol would ask, "What's going on?" And after kissing her didn't work, all at once, at least 46 people would say in unison, "We just want to help Carol." And obviously, that freaks her out, and she drives all the way home. But when she realizes that she forgot her keys, she's visited by her neighbor's kids who speak to her in perfect sync, and they're letting her know where her spare keys are. And we find out that because everyone has a shared consciousness and this alien virus did affect her girlfriend, the kids would have those memories as well. And things only get crazier when she goes inside, because the first thing she does is turn on the news to see what's exactly going on. And when she gets to a channel that works, she's told directly to call a number on the screen. And after pouring herself a drink, because, I mean, who wouldn't in that situation, she grabs her phone and calls the number. And as hard as it is for her to believe, she's told that everyone in the world now has a singular consciousness. Well, almost everyone, because apparently there are 13 people who for some reason are not a part of this hive mind. And they make it very clear that she's her own person and they just want to help. They'll bring her food, medicine, and anything that she needs. But eventually, they will make her a part of this collective. And that's basically where the first episode ends. Now, the second episode is filled with pure intrigue because it asks the question of, is this really such a bad thing? I mean, sure, there's no individuality, but there's also no murder, no crime, and literally everyone's on the same page. I mean, it doesn't sound too bad, and apparently the other 12 people who are not a part of the hive mind also agree. But for Carol, she kind of finds it weird that a 9-year-old child can have the same memories and knowledge as a gynecologist or an airplane pilot. And for her, she wants the world to go back to the way it was, and she lets that be known when she loses her temper on one of the hive mind people. And what this would do is cause everyone on the planet to essentially have a seizure. So whether they're driving a car or doing construction, they would completely lose control of what they're doing, and they could even die. And we find out that just from Carol losing her temper, she killed 11 million people by accident. and highlighting that this perfect society is affected by negative emotions. But other than that, there's no complaints. And the way the episode ends puts Carol at a bit of a crossroads. She can either choose to fight and complain about the way things were, or get on board with the survivors and enjoy the way things are. And I gotta say, I'm more curious of how things are gonna play out for the series. Because even though it's completely different from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, like I said at the beginning of this video, it still feels familiar. And speaking of which, there is a subtle Easter egg with the plane we see Carol on being a Wayfair Airlines plane, so there is that. But overall, I can't recommend this show enough, and I'll be tuning in every week to see how things unfold. So even though I'm only 2 episodes in, I'll give this show a solid 9 out of 10. And I don't know if there's going to be a season 2 or 3 happening, but once this season is over, I'll do a series recap and talk more in depth about it. But that'll do it for me on this video, guys. Until then, my name is Murge. Later.